So sorry about that, folks. I was recording it, and all of a sudden, the thing just kind of went off because I ran out of space. But anyway, let me show you folks how to do this one. What you're going to want to do is you want to fill this up all the way to the top. There we go. I'll put the extra in there. And then this one, it's going to take a little finesse. What you're going to want to do is you want to take your finger, put it over here, and you want to turn it upside down. And then put your whole thing underwater, not the whole thing, just the top part underwater. And if you did it right, you'll be able to see it from here. You'll have no air at the top over there. And then what you're going to want to do is I'll push this thing down a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put it so that way the test tube is over the probe. And look, there's no air inside of that test tube. If you hold it underwater like this, let me show you. I'll do it on this one. So, let's fill this up. Full all the way. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to put my finger over this thing. I'm going to turn it over so that way there's no water coming out. Now, I'm going to put it all the way down so the top of that is fully submerged. And then I'm going to move my finger. Now, as long as you have that top part underneath the water surface, the water in here isn't going to come out. If you were to raise it up too high, there we go. It empties out. So let's get that started again. Okay, fill up, put in, fill up. Oh, I missed it a little bit. It's alright, this is just kind of salty water. It's not exactly salty water, it actually has magnesium sulfide in the water, but you can get your fingers wet a little bit. Make sure to wash your hands off after you're done. Anyway, I'll show you the technique one more time. I'm going to turn it upside down, put it completely underwater. Now I'm going to move my finger. And so there's no water, there's no air up in here. Now let me show you folks this technique right here. I'm just going to put this, can you see that? I'm going to put the test tube, so that way I put it over the electrode and just kind of hang it out right there. There we go, all done. Now, I'm going to wash my hands with soap. Always a good idea. And let's see. Connect the battery. Observe the terminal, or observe which terminal produces the most gas. So, battery goes on. Make sure you connect the right things. There we go. And the battery should start producing this thing. Now, as you watch it real carefully, and I don't think you can see this in the video, but there should be bubbles forming on this thing. Now, what's happening is there's a reaction taking place right at the electrode, and then that's letting off a gas. Now, that gas is going to start to be collected in one of these test tubes. And so, in this case, you just observe which one you see forms more bubbles, and how much bubbles. And what you want to do is you have to wait maybe half an hour before this happens, before it fills up. So you want to wait about half an hour, and then what you're going to do is you're going to try to see whether or not we have a combustible gas that's in there. The way you do that is you take a match and you burn the end of this. I forgot to bring my matches up, so I'm not going to do that. You take a match and you burn the end of this. You let it burn a little bit, and then you blow it out. And so what you have is just kind of a hot, glowy end over there. And if you keep blowing it like that, it will turn orange again, but it's not an open flame. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this test tube. I'm not going to take it off right now because I haven't waited the full half hour, but let's pretend that this has gas in it. And I'm going to bring it up to the top, and then I'm going to open it up real quick, and I'm going to put the splint, the burning splint, inside like that. So I'm just going to go like this and go straight in like that. Cool. So like this, straight in like that. And what will happen is this combustible? Does the little splint glow back up again? Does it have a little pop? Did the gas get burned up in the process? You'll want to do that. This can be a really tricky thing to do, so be careful with this one. This could be really tough. All right, you're going to repeat this for part B. The only difference being is that you're going to use a salt solution in there, and what you're going to also do is you're going to take some phenolphthalein test paper like this, and you're going to roll it up inside the beaker. There is one thing I forgot to mention, or at least you might want to keep in mind. The red terminal is the positive, and the black terminal is the negative. Keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I have another test tube. It's not the exact same size. You're going to do it on this smaller test tube over here, but I'm using this to kind of collect the gas for now. So I'm just going to show you. You're going to take this phenolphthalein solution, or test paper, and roll it up into a little circle, and then just place it inside there as best as you can. Hopefully it doesn't get stuck. You might get stuck, but you'll be all right. There we go. We're going to put it like that. And then you're going to repeat the same experiment, but this time, instead of using magnesium sulfate, 2 milliliters of this, you're going to use 2 milliliters of salt. Put it in there. And what that salt does is you'll see whether or not we can break down the salt. Let's see. And again, you're going to be doing the stick, or the combustion test, to see whether or not the gas that you formed is combustible, if you even form a gas in the first place. Now, let me just show you real quick before I tell you. The most important thing is to clean up, and it really is, but you can see that, remember, it started off with no gas up on top, and now you can start seeing, if you look real closely, you can start seeing bubbles floating up here. Maybe if you see the bottom part. Yeah, you can see those bubbles. And then over here, there's a space in between here. That's gas that's forming. Now that gas isn't air, or maybe it's not air. It definitely wasn't air from when we put it in there. Remember, there was no air in there to begin with. So that gas in there is definitely the bubbles that is being collected from one of these electrodes to see what's going on there. So that's kind of what we're trying to collect. Now, if you want to fill this up with something that, is actually, a significant amount of gas, it's going to take some time. And in this case, it might take up to a half an hour. You might even wait a little bit longer than that. Just put that there. Again, the most important part of your lab, cleanup. None of this stuff is very super corrosive, and if you throw it down the drain, but then you run the sink for maybe a minute or so, it will dilute it well enough for you to not have to worry about anything too bad going down your pipes. All of the solutions that we have here are of very low concentration.